Welcome back to BEFM Drama. I'm your host, Ryan Estrada. This season, we're creating brand new radio plays based on 22 books of sequels that Charles Dickens wrote to A Christmas Carol, but that the world quickly forgot about. But even though these were all part of a series, there was very little tying them together. They simply came out at the same time every year and were marketed as Dickens' latest Christmas book. Unlike our series, which is tied together by Goblin and Fern, there were no recurring characters. They didn't even have Christmas in common. At one point, somewhere in the book, some character would mention Christmas, but it was never the central theme. Back then, the rules of what made a Christmas story had not yet been invented. Winter was known as a time for spooky stories. That's where the phrase, "a winter's tale," comes from. Ironically, by injecting a little heart into his creepy winter tales, Dickens accidentally invented what we think of today as Christmas stories. But that's a long way of saying that Scrooge, or the Goblins, or the Cricket on the Hearth, or the Haunted Man never actually made any return appearances, and Dickens never actually wrote any sequels in the series, until 1863. Mrs. Lirriper's Lodgings was such a hit that he decided to return 1 year later for a sequel called Mrs. Lirriper's Legacy, so that he could share even more stories from even more of her lodgers. One of those lodgers was a man named Major, who you may recall from a couple of episodes ago. So to recreate Dickens' first returning characters, we'll pick up right where we left off last time, with Goblin and Fern kidnapped by a gang of vicious street orphans, and bring back a character from our show's past. This episode is based on the following stories. Mrs. Lirriper relates how she went on and went over. A past lodger relates his experiences as a poor relation and how Jemmy Topped Up by Charles Dickens. A Wild Legend of a Doctor by Charles Collins. What Lot He Drew at Glumper House by Henry Spicer. And Another Past Lodger relates certain passages to her husband by Sarah Smith. In the original stories, the lodgers all simply had fun crime stories to share, but in meshing them up, it's much more fun to make it into a house full of criminals. Why else would they be so intimately knowledgeable about crimes? So please enjoy BeFM Drama's production of Death by Dinner.
Please don't kill us, vicious orphan street gang!
Yeah, just let us go. We'll be cool.
Why should my orphans trust you? Do we trust him, boys? After all you have seen, we can't let you spill the beans. I'm afraid we don't trust EMPs. Looks like we're gonna have to kill you. You're gonna be murdered by our crew, boys. Looks like we're gonna have to kill you.
Please, don't sing murder songs at us, vicious orphan street gang!
I'm already cool. I don't need to become cool. I'm cool right now.
He's cool already.
Why should we let you prance all the way back to your ambulance? Let you win and turn us in. Looks like we're gonna have to kill you. You're gonna get murdered by our crew, boys.
Hey, shut up in there! I told you to keep it down!
Sorry.
Some of your neighbors have illegal weapon deals to do in the morning and they're trying to sleep! Enough with the all-night orphan street gang musical number!
My bad. I'll keep it down.
You better!
Oh, what, you're gonna cry again?
What?
I didn't say anything.
Just keep it down!
I hate that guy. I'm kidnapping him next.
What?
Sorry, orphans. No more singing.
We don't want to upset the neighbors, so we better go.
Oh, no, we're still going to kill you.
Oh, man!
Don't worry, Fern. Someone will save us.
Hello, boys. I'm here to save you.
Wow. Really did not expect it to be him.
Okay, let me back up. Hi, I'm Major. I used to work with these guys, and now I live in the old crime lodge. And I was just the guy to resolve this situation. Now, Fern wasn't too excited to see me, which is understandable since he just betrayed me. Well, despite it all, I was doing all right. Yeah, I mean, I'd lost my job and gotten into a spot of legal trouble over a little misunderstanding with the police, but I was doing okay. I mean, my wife left me, and I lost my apartment, but I'd gotten out on bail awaiting my trial, found a new apartment, and a new job. I was the new live-in superintendent at the lodge. Hey, it was a nice place, a little run down, but they didn't judge people based on their criminal past. or present, or future, or whether or not they ran their criminal enterprise out of the lodge, whatever. As long as I kept the boiler running, unclogged the toilets, and kept the bugs at bay, they left me alone. I could work on my novel. You see, I'm working on a Victorian romance about this millionaire who returns to his hometown and pretends to still be poor so he can surprise his family. But they treat him like garbage. They tell him he's a disappointment. They send him to live in the servants' quarters with their poor orphan maid, and then they fall in love. Very classy stuff. No bites from any agents yet, but I'm sure I'll sell the international rights and the film options any day now. Oh, but you don't care about that. And plus, I don't want to spoil too much. You gotta buy the book. Point is, I'm doing fine. Yeah, or at least I was, until Goblin and Fern showed up and messed everything up again. You might have heard about it already. Now, one of our tenants died in childbirth. She didn't go to the hospital because she was a wanted fugitive. She ran the opium den on the 4th floor and years ago kidnapped her romantic rival and left her to die in the woods. Now, anyway, this left a house full of criminals to figure out what to do with the baby. Someone called an ambulance to make sure it was okay. Now, they called in 2 guys from my old work from back when I was a paramedic, Goblin and Fern. Now, Fern was the one who turned me in. They made it sound like I was a thief because I'd stolen a bunch of things from a bunch of people. But hey, I don't blame the guy. He just did what he thought was right. And I'm in a better place now. I can forgive. I don't need to stoop to that stupid jerk's level. Now, when I was a paramedic, I could have gotten in and out with no problem. But these 2 bumbling buffoons lost the baby. Now, it was fine. It had already been taken to Child Protective Services, but they didn't know that. So they got super nosy and rampaged through the entire house, uncovering criminal empires, setting loose an army of cage-fighting dogs, finding dead bodies, starting a duel between a gunrunner and a pickpocket ringleader, and got kidnapped by a vicious gang of street orphans. It was downright Dickensian. Then, we found out that the dummies had been broadcasting everything they found over the dispatch radio. So now, you're caught up. As you can imagine, the house full of wanted criminals wasn't too happy about this. Neither was I. I could hear all the evidence they were flushing down the toilets, and it was going to take me a whole day to fix those clogs. The car thief from the 2nd floor was hiding under the welcome mat from the cops. These were not smart criminals, which made them even more dangerous. They were ready to kill Goblin and Fern until I stepped in.
Major, what are you doing here?
Surprisingly, it looks like I'm saving your tail.
I have no idea what is going on.
What are you doing here, Super? We don't have any clogged toilets.
Look, if you kill those guys, it's just gonna bring more police attention. If we resolve this peacefully, they'll overlook everything, as always.
We can't trust these guys, though. I don't like this guy, but I agree with him on that point.
That's where I come in. I used to be one of them. Now I'm one of you. I'm the impartial party. I can be the mediator.
How do we know you're not on their side?
This one abandoned me in an alley and turned me in for picking pockets and cost me everything. So you could say I have a vested interest in making sure he doesn't do that to anyone else in a way that ruins the new life I built after.
Do you think about murdering them?
Constantly.
All right, I'll allow it.
Great. Let's do this over dinner.
I could eat.
Oh, hey, by the way, I didn't know you were a pickpocket too. You need a job?
No, I'm kind of focusing on my writing right now.
Oh, cool.
We headed to Chef Bertrand's apartment. Now, he was one of our tenants who hosted lavish dinner parties. I was still new here, so I didn't know him very well, but he seemed like a nice guy. Worked really hard on his recipes. Even made his own cookware by hand. At least, I think he did. He spent a lot of time in the pottery studio. We all sat around the dinner table as he served our first course of salamis, beef bone, and rice pudding. About 30 hardened criminals on one side slurping down their food, then me, and on the very end, Goblin and Fern still tied to their chairs.
All right, how do you suggest we begin?
Goblin, Fern, Why should these folks trust you?
Hey, I'm out of here in a couple days. I've already put my notice in. I'm leaving town, never looking back. I could care less what you all doing here.
Yeah, me too. I'm also out of here in a couple days. I've also already put in my notice, and I'm also leaving town and never looking back. I could also care less about what you all do here.
Orphan Street Gang ringleader, do you have a rebuttal?
These boys aren't one of us. They haven't even touched their pudding.
In our defense, we are tied to chairs.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Oh, this is really good. I ran away from boarding school one time to get better food, and this is even better than that.
Chef Bertrand brought out the second course of roast beef, boiled leg of mutton, and beefsteak pie with a nice vintage wine.
Great wine. A nice blend of sweetness, stickiness, and economy.
Boys, it doesn't sound like they trust you.
I mean, look, why would we want to cause trouble for all of you? Not everyone here is bad. There was that nice veterinarian you all tried to murder.
And Chef Bertrand? He seems nice.
Oh, no. Chef Bertrand is the worst of the worst.
Huh? What did he do?
No, you didn't hear? He stalks the streets looking for people with ennui, people who complain that their life is not as they wish, people that don't appreciate the life that they have. He tells them he has a solution for them, and he invites them to a lavish dinner party. Then he serves them a multi-course meal, not telling them that every course is laced with a different poison. He solves their concerns about their life by taking it away from them.
Wow, I didn't know about...
Hey, what's wrong with the mate?
Chef Bertrand, did you poison our food? Chef Bertrand? Maybe.
Okay, I'm taking over negotiating duties here. How about this for a reason to untie us? Major just collapsed face first in his beefsteak pie. Half of you are unconscious, and the others will be in just a few seconds. We are the only two paramedics left standing, and the only way for us to save all of you is for you to untie us.
Has Chef Bertrand poisoned me? Is this the end of the boys and me? If I'd have known, I'd have turned down that third glass of wine. I'd certainly have skipped the beefsteak laced with strychnine. All the chewing and mastication has been yummy, but will lead me to my death. I'm embarrassed, but these paramedics may be my only hope to live, I guess. I suppose that we have got to give these two dumb jerks the right to live. We have got to learn to forgive and put down my rusty prison ship. Someone untie this dipstick so he can pump my stomach. I think that I'll agree with Goblin's plan.
Hey, will you just shut up and untie the guy already? Come on. Oh.
All right. Sounds fair. I'll allow it.
Oh, man. It is good to be free.
Oh, no, I can't even die without you singing. Oh, come on.
Hey, is any of this food not poisoned? I'm still very hungry.
Fern, come on.
I get peckish.
Come on.
The boys were true to their word and saved every last one of us. The criminals all scattered to the wind before the police could show up. Though, in an ironic twist, they're the ones who turned in Chef Bertrand. He's in jail now. I now manage an empty building, and I'll get to fill it in with more reputable clients just as soon as I clean up the place a bit. There are a lot of skeletons in the closet to clean up, and in many cases that is quite literal. So in the end, Goblin and Fern saved my life and helped me clean up a little bit. Maybe I'll thank them in the acknowledgement page in my novel.
Whew! What a close one, huh?
I never thought I would be saved by a serial killer.
Well, you gotta get into at least one last scrape before you leave this place for good.
Hey, I lied back there. I know I haven't told you yet, but I've realized that as crazy as it is, I like this life. I decided I'm not quitting. I'm gonna stay.
Oh, Well, that is funny, because I wasn't lying back there. I decided I'm leaving.
Thank you for listening to BEFM Drama. That was certainly a weird one. The actual Fern, Kelly Brassbridge, left town recently, so we had to write and record 7 episodes in a single weekend. So expect things to get really strange. There are only 5 episodes left in our Goblin Story series. This was Death by Dinner, based on Mrs. Lirriper's Legacy by Charles Dickens, Charles Collins, Henry Spicer, and Sarah Smith. The bulk of this episode was inspired by A Wild Legend of a Doctor by Charles Collins. Obviously, I also snuck in quite a bit of one of Dickens's non-Christmas tales, Oliver Twist, just for fun. This radio play was written by me, Ryan Estrada, and starred Sam Hazelton as Goblin, Kelly Brassbridge as Fern, Chris Tharp as Major, and me as the pickpocket ringleader, the gunrunner, and Chef Bertrand. Hidden Agenda, Deadly Roulette, and Half Mystery are by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech and released under Creative Commons Attribution License. Going to Have to Kill You and Chewing and Mastication are parodies of songs from the musical Oliver by Lionel Bart. The spoofs were written and badly performed by me. As always, thank you for listening, even when we get weird. See you next time.